And good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. Today is Friday, July 14th. And we are joined, I'm your host, Josh Engel, and today we are joined by Tanner Health System. We have Dr. Megan Grillo. She serves as the Medical Operations Leader for Tanner Women's Care. She's board certified in obstetrics, is that right? Obstetrics, I almost had it, and gynecology. She earned her medical degree from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where she also completed her internship and residency. Her and her husband reside in Carrollton, along with their 2 sons. Today we're going to be chatting all about maternal care, including maternal mortality rate in Georgia, warning symptoms to look out for during and after pregnancy, as well as the importance of prenatal and postpartum care. Good morning, Dr. Grillo. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the program today. We got a lot to talk about. But first, why don't we talk to you a little bit? If you could tell us a bit about your, we went through your resume a bit here, but were you a Carrollton native originally, or did you?
No, I am actually born and raised in Ohio. Go Buckeyes! A little shout out there for my team of choice. But had actually moved to Alabama, to Guntersville, Alabama, when I was in high school, and fast forward a little bit, ended up coming back to Alabama for medical school and residency, as you shared. And then when I finished that, I have been in Carrollton, Georgia ever since. So I've been in practice here in Carrollton for 13 years.
So what inspired you to go into the medical field?
That's a really good question. So I'm definitely have always been very science minded. That's just where my academic leanings were and interests were. I'm definitely a caregiver. I think I'm one of those, M&Ms. I kind of have a harder exterior, but the truth is I'm a softie inside.
I would imagine, given the field you went into.
Yes. And so that desire to care has definitely always been there for me. I have a pretty sensitive soul there. And I have 3 sisters, and so taking care of women and being in that role has always been an important part of my life, and a bend towards me or for me, so to speak. So it was just a natural fit. I actually, when I applied to medical school, I already knew at that point that I was going to be an obstetrician and gynecologist. That's what I went to medical school to become.
Excellent. So how long have you been working in the field now?
So, yes, I've been here in Carrollton for 13 years.
13 years. Mm-hmm. So I did want to remind all our listeners, we are currently live streaming on our WLBB Facebook page. So if you have any questions or comments while we have this guest in studio, feel free to jump in the live chat and throw some comments, questions, suggestions, whatever. You just let us know. Dr. Megan Grillo, could we chat a bit about the maternal mortality in Georgia?
Sure. So, unfortunately, we're here today to talk about some not great statistics. So, the United States has been facing an ongoing issue regarding our maternal mortality rate. Unfortunately, when you compare the rate of maternal death, so that is women who die either during pregnancy or 1 year following pregnancy, the United States has the highest rate of maternal mortality compared to all high-income nations in the country. So, and then if you look within the United States, Georgia itself has the second highest rate of maternal mortality within the United States. So,
what's the first?
Louisiana is the
Louisiana.
first. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's shocking. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. Do we kind of have an idea? Do we have data that kind of expounds as to why?
So we have data that certainly goes into the leading causes, what is leading to these women's death. That data actually was just recently released. So in the last month, we got the data for 2018 to 2020. This data is always delayed in coming out. But according to that data, which again was released within the last 30 days, the leading cause of maternal death within the state of Georgia is hemorrhage, so excess bleeding. Just second to that is mental health conditions, which would include substance abuse, it would include suicide. So that is now the second leading cause of maternal mortality. Following that are largely issues related to cardiovascular disease, so a condition called cardiomyopathy, which is a form of heart failure. hypertensive disorders. Some people may be familiar with terms like preeclampsia and eclampsia can certainly cause maternal death, and then embolic events. So that's like a pulmonary embolism where there's a blood clot in the lungs, and that can lead to sudden death. And unfortunately, pregnancy, and specifically immediately following pregnancy, the postpartum period, is a high-risk time for blood clot development.
Well, that was going to be my next question. There are stages of pregnancy wherein developing blood clots are more likely.
Yes.
Do we know the specific reason as to why that might be the case?
Why blood clots develop in pregnancy? It has to do with the coagulation factors and the alterations of those during pregnancy. I don't know that we want to go into the specifics of that, but those proteins within our blood system are altered, and so it makes blood clot formation much more common during pregnancy. But the riskiest time is actually following delivery. Immediately following delivery is when we see the most blood clots. So one of the actions that we have taken even here locally at Tanner is to be much more aggressive about putting women on blood thinners after delivery. This is a relatively new thing. Patients are often unfamiliar, like, why are you giving me these shots?
I'm already worried about bleeding, and you got me the blood thinners.
And then we're going to put you on blood thinners.
Yeah.
And so keep in mind, this is a low dose blood thinner. This is a preventative dose of blood thinner. It's not associated with an increased risk of bleeding. These medicines are very safe, especially with the doses that we're giving them. But that's one of the many things that we're doing to try to drive down this maternal death rate.
Now, within the state of Georgia, you mentioned it's the second highest
Yes.
Of the states in terms of maternal mortality. Within the state of Georgia, are there specific socioeconomic subgroups that are more affected than others?
Absolutely are. This is true throughout the United States, and it's absolutely true in Georgia that even though, so again, we have the second highest maternal mortality rate in the United States, okay? If you are a Black woman in the state of Georgia, you are more than twice as likely to die related to pregnancy as a white woman is.
Twice.
More than twice.
More than
2.14.
I mean, could we speak to any of the factors that might contribute to that? That's a massive difference.
It is a massive difference. So all the factors, I mean, that's a very complicated question, right? Does that have to do with access to care? Does that have to do with underlying health conditions? Does that have to do with implicit bias that unfortunately the healthcare system does not treat women of color, people of color, the same way that we necessarily treat Caucasians? And the truth is, it's probably all of the above.
Sure. So it's a very dense issue with
It
a
is.
lot of layers that needs addressing, of course.
Yes, sir.
And I imagine this is something that every year we work towards alleviating and trying to get to the bottom of it and hopefully fix it.
Yes.
But this is, I mean, that's major. I
Yeah.
mean, for in terms of maternal mortality, are there any, are there any specific? Well, honestly, are there any specific, warning signs in advance?
Well, so there certainly are warning signs, things that women should be alert to, their family members should be alert to make sure that they're always receiving immediate care and attention. The riskiest time for maternal death is actually following pregnancy. It's in that 30 to 60 day window following pregnancy. The data do support that we have actually made inroads. We've made progress in terms of keeping women safer, keeping reducing these rates during pregnancy and during their hospital stay with us. Those rates, when they're actually actively under medical care, those rates are coming down. What's not coming down is the death rate following pregnancy, specifically in the 30 to 60 day window following pregnancy, which unfortunately is a time that women often drop out of care. That they, if they, hopefully they're following up with us in that first, 4 to 6 week window, but often that the attention turns only to newborn care and newborn follow-up, and they're no longer seeking care themselves. So one measure that has been taken, and I'll get to your question, I'm rounding my way there, but one measure that has been taken federally and the state of Georgia adopted. So federal funding came through in 2021 to extend Medicaid coverage, Medicaid specifically for pregnancy, because the majority of these deaths are occurring in women who have Medicaid. And so federal funding came through in 2021, and that was a bipartisan effort, which our own Senator Raphael Warnock was a vocal advocate for. To extend Medicaid coverage, pregnancy Medicaid coverage, for a full year after delivery. Historically, it's only been for 6 weeks. So it got federal funding to extend it for a full year. And then in October of 2022, Georgia accepted that funding. And so now these women who have health care coverage through Medicaid do have coverage for 12 months after delivery. So that's one of the inroads that has been put in place on a government level to try to address this problem. Unfortunately, what I found is many women are not aware of that. Many families are not aware that that health care coverage actually extends beyond that 60-day window, and that they actually do have coverage for up to 12 months after delivery. But during that time, some of the things that women should be watching out for. So obviously, any thoughts of self-harm, harm to others, what we refer to in the medical field as suicidal ideations, thoughts of wanting to end your life or that this world may be better without you, is an emergency situation and needs immediate care and attention. Unfortunately, relapsing substance abuse is an issue. So women can often maintain sobriety or reduce their substance abuse during the pregnancy itself, but because of the mental health concerns, because they're no longer pregnant, right, they're not harming their unborn child at that point, we see an increase in relapse immediately following delivery. So that obviously warrants immediate care and attention. As it relates to some of the other causes of death, hemorrhage, cardiovascular disease, etc. So generally, bleeding should not be more than a menstrual period after delivery. Soaking through pads, within an hour or less, lightheadedness, dizziness. As it relates to hypertensive disorders, a severe or persistent headache, chest pain, shortness of breath, palpitations where it feels like your heart is beating fast or beating irregularly. Swelling is common during pregnancy and after delivery, but it should not be worsening swelling in your legs. You should not have redness, one leg more swollen or more tender than the other. That can be a sign of a blood clot. So all of those factors are something that would warrant immediate medical care and attention. And we've worked very aggressively about trying to educate women and their families during the pregnancy of those warning signs, again at time of delivery before they go home from the hospital, and yet again when they come in for their follow-up care.
The time is 8:43. We're going to go and take our first commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue our conversation on maternal care, as well as warning symptoms to look out for during and after pregnancy, and the importance of prenatal and postpartum care with Dr. Megan Grilio, and a lot more when we come back. So stay with us.
The AP Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined advanced placement curriculum track to earn a series of distinctions upon graduation. This journey enables academically prepared students to pursue college-level studies throughout 17 AP courses in 5 subject categories while enrolled at OMA. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
And we're back to Community Voice. Today's Friday, July 14th. I'm your host, Josh Engel. We are live streaming currently on our WLBB Facebook page. So if you have any questions or comments for our guest, Dr. Megan Grilio from Tanner Health System, who serves as the medical operations leader for Tanner Women's Care, feel free to hop in the chat and let us know, and we'll ask the guest that. We actually have our first question, actually tying to something we were just speaking about. Wouldn't expanding Medicaid help with the mother mortality rate?
Excellent question. Yes, it absolutely would. Again, we are glad to see and very grateful for the expansion in terms of the time of coverage. As I mentioned, unfortunately, I feel like many women themselves who are of reproductive age and are receiving coverage through this care is not aware of that expansion, family members as well. So trying to improve the awareness of that, I think, is key. Other things to consider is who is eligible for Medicaid coverage during pregnancy. There is definitely room for expansion there as well. There are still many women who are not eligible for coverage through our current Medicaid system that is available to them. And then finally, and perhaps most critically, to address the mental health conditions and the rise in mental health mortality that we're seeing, is currently these women have no mental health coverage. So if you are pregnant and you have medical coverage or healthcare coverage through Medicaid, there are no mental health services that are provided for you. You cannot see a therapist and have that covered. You cannot see a psychiatrist and have that covered. If you have a history of substance abuse, there is no coverage for you.
That's hard to imagine,
Amazing,
considering how prevalent.
Yes.
And now the more we understand, the more we see how widespread mental health is an ever-growing issue.
Exactly. And like I said, it's the second leading cause of maternal death within our state, and yet we provide no coverage for it.
Unbelievable.
So for those women who, again, have their pregnancy coverage through Medicaid.
John Armstrong, thank you again for that question. Got some great info there. Thank you so much for that. If you're ready, could we chat a bit about importance of prenatal and postpartum care?
Absolutely. So I sort of touched on this a little bit before, that we are making significant inroads in terms of driving down the maternal mortality rate for those women who are actively under our care. It is during that time when they are no longer following up with us. Perhaps they don't realize that, they can then follow up with their primary care provider, or in some cases a cardiologist. That is where we're seeing that the greatest work still needs to be done. Receiving prenatal care allows us to identify risk factors, right? We know some of the risk factors going into a pregnancy that can drastically increase your likelihood of experiencing serious illness or even death related to a pregnancy. So trying to address those risk factors even prior to pregnancy is really our goal. And then certainly once a pregnancy occurs, it's so important to come in and have that kind of care that we can provide for you, whether it is managing your pre-existing hypertension, addressing diabetes, helping with weight management during pregnancy. We do know that obesity is one of the leading risk factors for maternal mortality, maternal death. What a woman's BMI is, their body mass index is leading into their weight gain during pregnancy. All of these are important factors that we can help to address during pregnancy.
I think that's something that I'd never even considered. I know that it's it's encouraged, of course, when someone is pregnant, that they of course have a steady diet. They make sure that they eat plenty of food, because now they're eating for two.
I'm going to stop you there. So that is an old adage. They are not eating for two. You do not have a 100, 200 pound being in your body, right? Yes, in some cases, an increase in your caloric intake needs to happen. But for some women, that's actually not necessary. And for other women, it's an increase of 200 to 300 calories a day, not doubling your caloric intake. There's often, we often see too, kind of the old adage of, you need to take it easy, you're pregnant, go put your feet up. Like, for most women, there are some exceptions to this rule, but for most women, we want you active. We want you exercising. The goal is, for most women, this is something that we would tailor for your specific pregnancy. But for most women, we're encouraging 150 minutes of moderately intense exercise a week to keep your heart strong, to keep your muscles strong, right? To protect your cardiovascular status, and that also decreases the risk of blood clot development, as we were discussing before. So many reasons to eat healthy, to have good calories come into your body, and to maintain physical activity.
I bet that would help with the swelling too. I mean,
It would
constantly
keep that circulation going.
Excellent. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great information. Time is 8:50. We're going to go take our second commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to wrap up our conversation with Tanner Health Systems Dr. Megan Grillo as we chat about maternal care. When we come back, we're going to talk more about where you can get information and things that you can keep an eye out for in your pregnancy. And all that and a lot more. So stay with us.
The customized academic scholar journey at Oak Mountain Academy is individually designed to provide students with a personalized, clearly defined academic track that earns the student a series of distinctions upon graduation. This journey enables academically driven students to pursue a focused, rigorous course of study personalized to their wants and desires. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
And we're back to Community Voice. I'm your host, Josh Shingle. Today is Friday, July 14th. We are live streaming on our WLBB Facebook page, so if you have any last-minute questions or comments for our guests, feel free to get those in there. Before the show wraps up, we're chatting with Dr. Megan Grillo. She's the operations leader for Tanner Women's Care. We've been chatting about maternal care as well as shocking statistics in terms of maternal mortality in Georgia. We've been chatting about warning symptoms you're going to want to look out for mid-pregnancy, as well as the importance of prenatal and postpartum care. This is a very important episode, and you're going to want to go back and check out the full episode if you haven't, because this is great information, and you really need to get a hold of this information and, of course, spread the good word. Let folks know. Maybe share it so that people can get this information. So, you were the operations leader at Tanner Women's Care. You have been now for some time. Could you chat a bit about the steps and the actions that you and your organization are taking to try to help some of this?
So some of the things that we've already been addressing, because again, unfortunately, this is not a new problem, is to try to improve collaboration between ourselves as the maternal experts as an obstetrician, but also build that collaboration with our cardiology colleagues, with our emergency room colleagues, because it's the emergency room where these women are often presenting, especially in the postpartum period. So trying to make sure that we're providing that support and education to our emergency room providers as well. We're putting policies and procedures in place so that we can address things and identify problems quickly, address those problems quickly. And then also making sure that we're providing good education to our patients. So we offer free prenatal classes. You actually don't even have to be one of our patients in order to go through prenatal classes that Tanner offers. Those classes can be done in person. They're available online as well through the Tanner website. And then making sure that we continue that education not only for our patients, but their family members after delivery as well, because again, that's when we're seeing the most likely time for these very tragic circumstances to arise. Just to reiterate some of the warning symptoms that I would encourage not only women, but their family members. It's so important that family members are watching out for these things, right? To just go over those again: severe persistent headaches, lightheadedness, dizziness, high fevers, swelling that's not even or redness in the legs, sudden chest pain, shortness of breath, any thoughts of self-harm, harm to others, or obviously a relapse in substance abuse. Other things that we are hoping for in the future and working towards going forward beyond what we're already doing is obviously pushing for mental health coverage for women who receive their care through Medicaid, trying to advocate for that federally and within our state itself. We are working closely with our Willowbrook colleagues, our mental health colleagues, to try to create a more direct avenue to receive that mental health care during and following pregnancy. We have also been working with actually our court system, not because we're intending to prosecute anyone, but the Carroll County Family Court Program has recently received a grant to help address substance abuse disorder during pregnancy specifically. So we are working with them, and we'll continue to work again with our cardiology colleagues, trying to work with our emergency room colleagues, and trying to address metabolic health so that women are as healthy as possible, as fit as possible leading into a pregnancy, and then obviously during and following their pregnancy as well. I will also put in a plug for the importance of comprehensive reproductive health care. Unfortunately, women are becoming pregnant, often when they may not want to be pregnant. And for some of those women, pregnancy is simply not safe. It is putting their life in jeopardy. Pregnancy is a beautiful, wonderful thing, but it can also be very dangerous, as this data is showing us. So the importance of comprehensive reproductive health care is very important.
Absolutely. And I imagine education on the front end.
Absolutely.
Something that's, some places are still a little behind the times and they don't feel comfortable talking about these things in advance.
Yes.
But, it's in that nebulous, unknown area. It's the risk of insult is the price of clarity. It's best to just be honest and get that stuff out there.
Yeah.
And then maybe it could save someone a lot of pain and possibly save their life. We only have about 3 minutes left. So I wanted to know if you had any additional final messages for the listeners that are tuning in, as well as perhaps where they could learn more information.
So I just appreciate people, being interested in this topic, being willing to listen to this, and hopefully, as you said, spread the word, be an advocate out there for either, people in your family, maybe your friends. Everyone knows someone who is pregnant or hopes to become pregnant soon, right? So again, just trying to spread this message, and, it kind of flashed in the headlines again recently with the death of Tori Bowen. So hopefully when we're seeing these things, again, the word is being spread that this is serious, this is real, that women are losing their lives related to pregnancy. And in terms of additional information, our marketing team at Tanner has done a beautiful job laying out a lot of this information on the Tanner website, which is tanner.org. If you look under the maternity services section, there'll be many resources and educational pieces there to be able to review the information that we've covered today. That's amazing. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the program today, and thank you for all that tuned in, both on on air as well as our live stream on WLBB's Facebook page. As Dr. Grillo says, share it, spread the word, let folks know, and we can do our part to write your congressman, write your representatives, write everybody to let them know some changes that we might need to make to really help save some lives. Dr. Grillo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you again, all of you tuning in. We'll see you next time.